to WRPB Studios. So the young lady next to me has been here before, and we spoke about a book that she wrote, which I think is on that side.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that side.
This
That
side,
side.
this side.
That side. And
No, it's on
I
that
was
side.
really, we had a great interview, and she didn't want to give up on writing, so she decided to write another book, which is in front of me.
Yes. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so it's Sherry Dunn,
Mm-hmm.
and it's Pause and Print is the name of your company.
Pause and print, yes.
Okay, so let's go back for 1 second
Mm-hmm.
and talk about book one,
Okay.
because that really is the hub of the series.
Yes, it is.
So tell me about it.
Well, book one was done when I adopted the last cat that I have, Jasmine. I decided because she had been at the shelter for 3 years,
Wow.
and she was surrendered when she was 4. So when I got her, she was 7. I've had her for 4 years, so she's 11 now.
Wow.
But I decided I wanted to write her story because it was. I feel so badly. I am an animal rescue advocate, and I feel so badly for the animals that are in the shelters. So I adopted her. She was so sweet, the way she walked around the house and everything, still a little timid. And I wanted to write a children's book. So I wrote a book about her. Well, I had a friend that was a professional writer, editor, and coach. So I hired her to be my writing coach. She looked at what I had written and she said, "This is a nice narrative, but it's not a children's book."
Okay.
She said, "A children's book goes by children's book industry standards. There's got to be so many pages, it's got to be so many words." And there were a litany of things that, went into writing a children's book. She said, "But what we can do is break this book up into 3."
Oh, okay. So what you wrote in her mind was too much.
It was too much for a children's book, one children's book.
Okay.
Because one of the things that you have to think about is children, well, now many adults too, but children have a fairly limited attention span.
That would be me.
Okay, there you go. So this book was written for you. So what I did is, because each book is a standalone, but you can get book one and you can read it, and it's a perfect story. And I can tell you why it's a perfect story. Book two is a continuation of book one, although it's a standalone because it goes back and lets you know what happened in book one. So the story, you could buy book two and be caught up. Book three is also a standalone, but again goes back to 1 and 2, just giving you a little background.
Almost like the interview.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, this is a children's interview.
But what it does is all 3 books, it's the story arc. Each story has its own arc, but 3 books have the story arc in there's a problem in the beginning and it is truly solved at the end.
Okay, so we've already done book one
Mm-hmm.
and spoke about it.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, just to wrap that part up, it was written basically right after you've gotten Jasmine?
Right after I adopted her. It's really, this book is really, book one is really the adoption story. The part of the adoption it's about a little girl that is bullied at school. Nobody picks her for anything. So she wants a cat. She tells her mom she wants a cat. "Well, why?" her mother said. And she said, "Because I need a friend." So they go to the shelter the next day. They look at the different cats. Things happen in threes in life and especially in children's books. She looks at 3 cats and shakes her head. The 4th cat comes up and taps her. And that was Jasmine. So she takes Jasmine home.
And we know, because we've discussed this many, many times, when you get a pet, cat, dog, whatever it is, it really finds you. You don't really find
Yes,
the animal.
true.
And God forbid, when you lose an animal, you should never try to replace that animal, okay? Because you can never replace
No.
that, because they're family.
Mm-hmm.
So now you wrote that. Now you wrote book 2.
Mm-hmm.
So where does book 2 take you?
Book 2 takes you, it's called Maddie and Jasmine Go Shopping. And in my books, what I like to do is I like them to teach children something, but without being real preachy,
Right.
So what do? Some of us buy the supplies beforehand, but this teaches a child that there's more to it than just walking into the shelter, getting a cat or getting a dog or an animal, and now what do? Well, you go shopping. There's things that
Okay.
there's things you need for the cat. And what book two does is book two kind of follows also the fact that Jasmine picked her at the shelter. So in book two, what happens is they go into a pet store
Together.
together, and before they go in, Maddie says to her mother, "I have my list of things that I need, but Jasmine's going in too because it's too hot to leave her in the car." So there's lesson number one.
Right.
They get into the pet store, and Maddie picks up something like food bowls or something. And Jasmine, throughout this process, is looking really bored. I tried to write it so that it looks like the cat is bored. And then Maddie finally says, you're not having fun here. I know you like to pick things out on your own. So she gets a harness, and I think you can see it on the front of the book. She gets a pink harness, and she gets a leash, and they go shopping. And Jasmine picks out all her own things.
Okay, so how does the story of Jasmine relate to your Jasmine? What's the connection in attitude, mannerism to your Jasmine?
Okay, my Jasmine, the story is about, as I said before, is about a little girl that was bullied. I was never bullied,
Okay.
nor was I a bully. So what I did is Jasmine is a tortoiseshell. I have an incredible illustrator. And she made Jasmine look just like Jasmine. That is a tortoiseshell cat, or they call them torties. And they have what they call tortitude,
Okay.
which they do. And the whole thing I was trying to get at was who picked who in this, and the fact that there's a bond there, and she's letting the cat. It's an association. It's getting along. It's acknowledging one another, and so Maddie acknowledges that the cat can pick out her own.
Do you do that with your Jasmine?
Yes.
Because we were talking.
That might be the combo there. Yes.
Okay,
Yes, that might
in
be
the
the
other room,
Mhm.
how your Jasmine has you wrapped around her finger, or her toe, or her paw.
Everything. Yes.
Okay.
The whole
And
house.
when your Jasmine wants a treat, okay,
She
it didn't
tells
take
me.
you long for her to
To learn cat.
Right, to learn cat. So, and I have two cats, and we were talking about them too.
Mhm.
And Jasmine, in the books, is this huggy, lovable cat.
Mhm.
Is your Jasmine a huggable, lovely cat?
I wouldn't say she's so much huggable as she is. She loves to be kissed on the head,
Okay.
and she will get up in the chair. If I'm sitting in a chair reading or whatever, you put everything down, and she gets up in my lap and she puts her head down like that, and that means give me a kiss on the head. Several of them. So I do. And at night in bed sometimes she'll jump up on the bed, and I laugh to laugh. She throws herself down on her side, and that means kiss me. So she's faced one direction, and then I kiss her on the head, and I can kiss her on the back and stuff, and that's all she wants. And then when I stop, when I've had it, she goes away. But when I kiss her, a lot of times she wants kissed on the head in the morning. Now I've just come out of the bathroom, I've taken a shower, I've got lipstick on, and there's something about kissing a cat on the head with lipstick.
I wouldn't know.
I know you wouldn't. I'm just telling you. But she's lovable. She really is. But it took her a while.
So, relating back to the books,
Mm-hmm.
Jasmine picked Maddie,
Mm-hmm.
and they had an instant bond.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they do.
And that comes right out of book one.
Yes.
You know it immediately.
Yes.
And now you get to book two, and the bond, I'm going to guess, because I haven't read book two yet, has strengthened.
Mm-hmm. It has. Yes,
Okay.
It has.
Obviously, because anybody who has a cat knows that they run us, we don't run them. So,
correct.
obviously, Jasmine wanted to pick her own stuff
Mm-hmm.
and let Maddie know
Mm-hmm.
that she wanted to pick her own stuff.
Yes.
And in the children's books, in that venue,
Mhm.
because are they always like small and short?
The books?
Yeah.
The books are, they shouldn't be over, for children's picture books. They shouldn't be over, 700 words would be a lot.
Okay.
So there's fewer words. There should be a lot of color, a lot of, like these books, you can see how colorful they are, but a lot of color, and they should be 32 pages, no more than that, with pictures and
I'm gonna hold this up so you
Yeah.
can see how colorful it is. And
even the cover is.
the
Colorful.
colors go straight through the whole book, the whole page, basically. So basically what you have is you have the words written over color. Because
Some of them, yeah.
every page is a picture, is an artwork.
Every page is an artwork, and like I said, the illustrator, and this is one thing about writing a children's picture book. I wrote, when you publish a children's picture book, 50% is the author, and 50% is the illustrator. And as a writer, you have to learn. And you have to show, not tell. Like the, I don't know, it's not in this particular book, but let's say the little girl was very, very sad. What if I said the little girl had a tear running down her face? See, there's a difference with showing and not telling. And the illustrator will pick up on this, and the illustrator will do it.
How did you connect with the illustrator?
Hasmark Publishing is my publisher, and they gave me 3 samples of illustrations, and I got to pick the illustrator. This particular illustrator was busy until December, which would have been like 7 months out. I said, I don't care. I'll wait.
Well, you were here about a year ago. Okay.
December.
And at that point, did you know you were going to write a second book?
Well, I did, because because the narrative was broken down into 3 different parts, which made one total story. And so, yes, I knew that I was going to continue on and then go with the second part of the narrative and then the third part, which was the ending of the total story.
We've given you enough teasing about book 1 and 2. We're going to come back at a point and talk about book 3, which is the end of the story that you get to see. It's not the end, because we never want a pet to be an end.
No.
Okay? So with that, we'll be back. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.